Jen, are you happy that David Hogg is now the vice chair of the
He's
DNC?
such an opportunist. And from my understanding, he wasn't even in the, like, when the shooting happened.
He was not in the vicinity of where the shooting was happening.
No. So he's just somebody that really saw an opportunity to benefit himself and create basically a political career on a tragedy. And that's just even more disgusting to me.
Well, he's been running with this. You know, it's amazing how time flies. You know, Parkland happened a week. So it'll be 11 days that Parkland will be its 8th anniversary. And he's been running with this. And evidently one of his key statements that he made was regarding guns.
Of course, he's a one-show pony, just like, and yeah, I'm not surprised.
So the DNC does their thing over the weekend where it's all about inclusivity and where we want to have non-binary people.
No, it was more ridiculous than that. You have to give it its due. He was literally saying, well, we have one man and one woman, and so we need one like, it was like a Sesame Street putting a puzzle together on Sesame Street, and you got to have one this person and one. It was absurd.
Well, Keaton and Russell actually nailed it very effectively, which is they have to talk about this because they can't talk about a labor strong agenda. They can't do it because they're married to Wall Street. You have Ken Martin, who, by the way, I'm going to keep mentioning this on every show now, Ken, because it's going to be seen by some of your people. You reached out to us about coming on our show.
Oh, yeah. That's this coward. That's this guy.
Ken is the DNC
the guy who got the chair position, right? No, not David Hogg. I know not David Hogg, but you're talking about the chair is the guy who, okay.
Yeah. He said, well, let's get you scheduled. Say, yeah, we'll connect you with so-and-so. And then he went dark. And you know why? Because one of his people, much like when Mark Pocan said he wanted to come on our podcast and then he chickened out, because one of the people that is connected to the machine says, oh, you can't go on with them. They're going to ask tough questions. They're going to ask why the Democratic Party doesn't represent labor anymore and represents Wall Street and Silicon Valley. Oh, and is perpetuating a genocide. You know, there's also that problem, too. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. And in his case, you go to such lengths to make sure that AOC can't get basically a token position sitting on a committee, but you're going to put this guy in charge. You are going to put this guy who comes from an affluent family in Parkland, Florida, who went to Harvard, who has been angling his ass for the past several years, who ignored every single inquiry that we made when Jen was running against Wasserman Schultz.
Well, he was already in with her from the very beginning, though. He was one of the people that sidled in with the local political people very early on after the Parkland shooting. He sidled in and got cozy with them and like the Fred Guttenberg crowd and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
He secured his position very early on as like a spokesperson of this, even though he wasn't near it.
No,
I find that annoying. If I were the other people that were really traumatized, like from it happening near them, I would find him to be particularly disgusting.
Well, I heard that from one person in particular. I won't say who, but they all said that he's a total fucking opportunist. And that's what he's done. And he's made it work for him. He really has. But
it's gross. It's gross.
He is a child of immense privilege who has been ushered into this position because he'll sell empire for the Democratic Party. He has no problem doing it. He has his niche issue, which is to talk about the fact that you've got to take people's guns away because that's what's going to solve gun violence, is taking guns away.
Again, them putting him as co-chair, it's up there in my mind with when Beto jumped up and told everybody in Texas he was going to take their guns. Like,
oh, he said it the second he did that. Said, oh, he's done.
Well, as soon as he did that, I said that was it for him. He'll never win another seat in Texas. But this is almost as stupid from a national standpoint. Like, you know that the direction of things is not that. And yet you're putting someone in who is a one-show pony about gun control. And we know that that is a niche privileged liberal issue that is not of concern to people that are struggling to survive.
David, he was never part of the working class crowd.
No, he got it. He took the opportunity from early on after the shooting to get in politically and take advantage of it.
And it was obvious from jump that, and listen, we never went after him before. We're going after him now because now he's asking for it. You basically did all of this. And when he said that he was running for vice chair, all I could think of is, oh, okay, so he's clearly just doing this as some form of tokenism. But the one thing that we know, and you know how we know that this is a scam? Listen, we have very strong opinions about Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson was one person who actually said what needed to be said. Fayez Shakir also said a lot of what needed to be said. Do you know what ended up happening with the chair votes? They got zero votes. This guy becomes the vice chair.
Well, that's the thing. So it's who is he in with? Because this is a Nepo seat, right? So it's whoever basically someone facilitated this on behalf of, right? So we don't know the backstory of that.
We definitely don't. But what we do know is that the new chair of the DNC says that they're only going to take money from the good billionaires, right. The good billionaires. What defines a good billionaire? Well, I'm not saying that, but you could, perhaps that's...
I'm just putting it on the screen. I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting that out there. And as you can see, it's a quote.
Listen,
sorry.
His congressman is Jared Moskowitz. So that should kind of tell you all you need to know. Anything's possible.
Well, and the truth is the gun issue is an easy one for them. It's an easy one for them. It's like a fringe issue. It appeals to their neo-lib suburbanite moms. They love that. That's what they think will solve the problem if we just ban the guns, as if you can't 3D print them now, because we know you can.
Boy, I bet Steve would have a very strong opinion about David Hogg. Oh boy.
He'd probably want to punch him in his vagina. That's what Reese would say. My son says that whenever he thinks somebody's such a pussy. He's like, I just want to punch him.
And like I said, we've never actually really ever talked about him before. But
no, you never wanted, because when we were thinking that I was going to run again, you're like, yeah, we can't shit on David Hogg. It won't look good locally.
Well, it wasn't even that. It's like, well, does he even have any interest in, fighting for causes that actually matter? The fact of the matter is David Hogg lived 10 minutes from the congressional district and never said a word. Nothing.
Well, he was in with Debbie from the very beginning, because don't forget, she never missed an opportunity with that to put herself front and center on the gun issue and take advantage of the Parkland situation too.
Oh, forever the sociopathic opportunity.
Yeah. So when she was there, this is what I'm saying. Like, he got in with that, whoever that is in the party people. He got in with them early on.
Yeah. No, he's got it all mapped out. Listen, he's got the pedigree. He comes from the right stock. He went to the right school. He's been sucking off the DNC for 8 years.
It's gross.
He's definitely made his mark. And now he's got his position of power. But I kind of feel like he's a pushover. I kind of feel like they're going to... The whole
he's
part...
just a tool for whoever put him there, which we don't know. Somebody like a Debbie person. You know what I mean? Like, he's just there for whoever got him there.
Taylor Swift has a very powerful father. Jessica and Ashley Simpson had a very powerful father. There's a lot of things that go into this that people just don't see or don't understand. There's a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes, which would leave you, the Midas brothers in LA, the Midas touch. Do you guys even know who their dad is?
I don't even know who that is. I don't know what you're talking about.
How powerful of the Democratic Party attorney the Midas brothers' father is. It's all, nothing happens by accident. Nothing. Everything.
Exactly. Yes, but no, he's a pawn, not a kingmaker. Exactly.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's the thing. He's just whatever. He's the tool.
But you do know what's interesting is when it came to Ken Martin, what's the one thing he said? I would have let that girl make her statement about Palestine at the convention. And I actually saw people say, Well, that's not much, but at least he would have done that for us. You are a slave.
That's some real revolutionary shit right there.
You really are a slave. Like, that's what's happened. People are so mentally broken by the Democratic Party that they're brought to heel. That's basically what's happened. You have been brought to heel.
It pleases me because they're imploding. Guys, seriously, they are losing people by the day. They're not registering new voters. They're a dinosaur. They're like seriously becoming extinct.
Oh, so we're rejects now. Okay. David
he didn't ask for this. He was in a school shooting. You know, we've talked about this. We talked about it today. There's people that are in horrible tragedies and things happen to them. And then there's people that are opportunists. And both things can be true.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. There's a nuance here. So there were a lot of people that were in that. In fact, I know someone whose daughter called her from the closet of her classroom, hearing gunshots coming up her hallway. And I know someone whose son was like also really in the vicinity.
And they run for vice chair too?
No. But what I'm saying is I do understand that there was a trauma situation. And I think that there's also some people that weren't necessarily traumatized, but used it to their advantage. And I find that uber gross.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, it takes a certain type of mindset in order to do that. You know, it would be one thing if David Hogg was actually locked in a room and had bullets whizzing by his head. That would be one thing. But people that decide to take advantage of these situations. Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's worse.
Worst type of person.
Exactly.
And like I said, I won't name the person, but somebody who was part of that group that ended up on the Time magazine cover.
Right.
And stuff, they let it out in private that they're like, oh, we can't stand him. I'm like, well, of course not. Well, why would you? Because the rest of them have all gone into the shadows, are either doing it quietly, have their own agenda and things that they're doing. But Hogg has had a mission from day one. From day one, he's had a mission. Well, now he's really got power. If
not
anything,
really, he has power over a dying party of nothingness. That's
what I was going to say. It almost is too perfect that Trump is the president and somebody like David Hogg is now the vice chair of the Democratic Party. Watch it all go straight.
He'll be the last vice chair. He'll go down in history as the last vice chair of the Democratic Party.
Fuzzy, thank you so much. AOC loses all her progressivism when her own party is in power, and only when the opposition comes to power does the progressive come back out. Well, I'd like to think that there's enough people that have picked up on that grift now, that they're just not going to play along anymore. We hope that they don't.